At their 10th anniversary dinner, everything looked perfect on the outside. Friends, family, and co-workers filled the room. There were flowers, soft music, and glasses full of wine. She wore a new dress, hoping for a lovely evening. Her husband stood up to give a speech, and she expected something sweet about their life together. But instead, he lifted his glass, looked across the room at his work colleague, and said, "To Erica, the best thing that ever happened to me." The guests laughed, but not in a warm way. It was awkward, confused. She stood there, trying to keep her face calm, trying not to show how much it hurt. Erica smiled, smug and comfortable, as if she belonged there more than the wife. And he didn't explain. He didn't even glance at his wife. She forced a smile, not wanting to create a scene. But inside, she was crushed. 10 years of marriage, and he chose to honor another woman on their special night. Later, at home, she asked him what he meant by that toast. He brushed her off. "You're overreacting," he said. "Don't be so dramatic." She told him it hurt, and he called her too sensitive. He claimed it was just a joke, and that everyone knew it. That night, while he slept peacefully beside her, she lay awake, thinking. She remembered the late nights, the business trips, the sudden interest in his looks. She had always trusted him, believed his excuses. But that one careless toast said everything. She didn't cry. She didn't scream. Instead, she picked up his phone and began looking through it. She was quiet, steady. Something inside her shifted. She didn't know the full truth yet, but she was going to find it. And when she did, she wouldn't beg or argue. She would make sure he regretted that moment, the night he toasted another woman right in front of his wife, for the rest of his life. After that night, she couldn't stop thinking about what he had said. Something in her heart told her it wasn't just a joke. She waited for the right moment, then checked his phone again when he left it on the table. This time, she found more. Messages between him and Erica were clear. They weren't just co-workers. He called Erica baby and my love. He made plans to meet her in secret. She kept digging. She found receipts for dinners, gifts, and even a weekend stay at an Airbnb. The dates went back months, maybe even longer. This wasn't something new. It had been going on while she was busy holding their life together. Her hands shook, but she stayed calm. She saved everything. Screenshots, copies, photos. She didn't say a word to him. She smiled when he came home and acted like nothing was wrong. But inside, she was planning. She looked Erica up online. It didn't take long to find her full name, Erica Carrington. She had a shiny social media page full of happy pictures, fake smiles, and quotes about self-love. But what caught her eye was a man in some of the photos. He looked like Erica's husband. She checked Erica's Facebook, then looked at her tagged pictures. One post said, "Date night with Miles Heart Eyes." That was it. Erica was married too. Now, everything changed. She found Miles Carrington's profile next. He wore a suit in most of his photos and looked like a serious man. He didn't seem like the type who would know his wife was cheating. He looked proud of her, happy. She didn't feel sorry for him yet. She just needed to know more. She created a new email account, one with a fake name. She started saving proof to send to him later, but not yet. Timing mattered. She wanted to hurt her husband the way he hurt her, but she knew revenge needed to be smart, not loud. She waited quietly, gathering more each day. The pain was still there, but it was turning into something colder, a plan. She didn't want to cry anymore. She wanted to watch it all fall apart. She found out Erica was married. Her husband's name was Miles Carrington. He worked in finance and looked like someone who followed all the rules. His clothes were always neat in pictures, his hair perfect, and his smile polite. She searched for him online. On LinkedIn, his job profile was clean and professional. It showed he had worked at the same company for years. He had a long list of skills and achievements. Everything about him looked serious and controlled. On Facebook, she saw pictures of him with Erica. In every photo, they looked like a happy couple. They went on trips, had dinner dates, and smiled like nothing was wrong. In one picture, he wrote, "Lucky to have Erica by my side." That one hurt the most. He believed in her. He didn't know she was living a lie. He looked like the kind of man who trusted too easily. She guessed he didn't even suspect his wife was cheating. Maybe even if someone told him, he wouldn't believe it. She didn't feel sorry for him, not yet. Right now, he was just a piece of the puzzle. She needed to be smart. So, She created a burner account, a fake email with no personal information. Using it, she began gathering proof, messages between Erica and her husband, screenshots of flirty texts, pictures of receipts from restaurants and hotel stay. She made a folder on her laptop and stored everything safely. Each detail added to the story. Erica wasn't just having a small fling. This was serious. They had been meeting in secret, sneaking around behind both their spouses' backs. She checked Erica's social media often. Erica posted about love, happiness, and trust, all while lying to everyone. It made her angry, but she didn't react. She only saved more evidence. Miles posted too. He shared updates about his job, weekend walks, and quiet dinners at home. He seemed calm and proud. It was clear he had no idea what was going on. She kept watching, learning more each day. The lies were deeper than she thought, but she was no longer surprised. People like Erica played the part well. Still, she waited. There was no rush. Every file, every message brought her one step closer to what she was planning. Quietly, without warning, she was getting ready to reveal everything. She had collected enough proof. The photos, text messages, dinner bills, and a hotel invoice clearly showed the affair. There was no room for doubt now. Erica and her husband were not just having a harmless friendship. They had been lying, meeting in secret, and building something behind their spouse's back. She printed everything. The messages were short, but full of love and plans. The receipts showed dinner dates and hotel stays. The invoice from the Airbnb was the final piece. She placed all of it into a plain manila envelope. No return name, no note, just the truth. She found Miles Carrington's office address online. It was easy. People like him lived open, professional lives. She mailed the envelope without hesitation. Then she waited. 3 days later, her burner email got a message. It was short. "We need to talk. Miles." That was all it said, but she could feel the shock behind it. He had opened the envelope. He knew now. They picked a cafe to meet, somewhere quiet, but public. She wore simple clothes and no makeup. She didn't want to be noticed. She just wanted the meeting to happen. He arrived first. He was sitting at a table near the window, holding a coffee cup with both hands. His face looked tired and pale. She could see he hadn't slept much. When she walked in, he looked up and knew exactly who she was. They didn't need many words. He had seen everything. He believed it. He asked how long she had known. She said, "Long enough." He didn't cry, but his eyes were red. His hands shook a little. She could see her own pain in him, like looking in a mirror. She told him she wasn't looking for pity. She wanted something else, a plan, something calm and smart. He listened closely. She explained how she had stayed quiet, how she had watched and waited. Now, she wanted to do something they wouldn't expect. At first he said nothing. He just sat there, thinking. Then slowly he nodded. "I want them to feel what we felt," he said. That was enough. They talked for a little while longer, keeping their voices low. It wasn't about anger anymore. It was about control. When they left the cafe, they didn't hug or say goodbye. They just walked in different directions, but now they were working together. The truth was out. The plan had begun. She waited a few days before making her next move. Everything had to feel natural. No one could suspect what was coming. One evening, she told her husband she wanted to have a small dinner at home. She said she had been thinking and didn't want to fight anymore. She told him she wanted to talk things through like adults. Her voice was calm, and her face showed no anger. She said she was ready to be more open-minded and understanding. He looked surprised at first. Then he smiled in that proud, smug way he always did when he thought he had won. He agreed to the dinner quickly. "It's about time," he said, acting like she was finally coming to her senses. She told him to invite Erica. She said she wanted to get to know her better. She said if Erica was really just a friend and co-worker, then there was no harm in sharing a meal together. He didn't even hesitate. He said Erica would be happy to come. He acted like it was some kind of victory. He didn't ask why she changed her mind. He didn't care. He was too full of himself to see the truth. After that, she sent a message to Miles through the burner email. She told him the dinner was planned. He replied quickly, saying he was ready. The plan was simple. Erica and her husband would come to dinner. Miles would already be there. It would start politely, like a normal evening. But everything was carefully arranged to break the lies apart. She cleaned the house and set the table with care. She chose the wine her husband liked. She picked soft music that wouldn't distract from the conversation. She wanted everything to feel relaxed, normal. On the outside, it looked like a peaceful evening. But inside, she was calm in a different way. This was her moment. Not to scream, not to cry, just to let the truth speak. She told Miles what to expect and what to say. He followed every instruction without question. He understood the goal. He had felt the same pain. The invitations were sent. The stage was set. Everyone thought they knew what kind of evening it would be, but none of them were ready for what she had planned. The real dinner hadn't started yet. That would come soon, and no one would forget it. She spent the whole day preparing the house. The dinner table was set perfectly, with clean plates, candles, and folded napkins. Soft music played in the background. The lights were warm and low. 2 bottles of wine sat on the table, just enough to make everyone feel relaxed. She wore a simple dress and a soft smile. Everything had to feel welcoming, calm on the outside, while the storm waited just beneath. Miles arrived first. He wore a nice shirt and acted calm. He didn't show any anger. They spoke quietly in the kitchen, going over the plan one last time. Then they waited. Soon, her husband and Erica showed up. Erica wore too much perfume and a wide smile. Her husband looked pleased, thinking he was in control of everything. As they walked in, Erica saw Miles sitting at the table. Her smile froze for a second, but then she covered it with a laugh. "Oh, small world," she said, pretending not to be shaken. Her husband looked confused for just a moment but didn't ask any questions. He sat down like nothing was wrong, thinking he had fooled everyone. She welcomed them kindly, almost too kindly. She offered drinks, poured wine, and made small talk. She asked about their work, their weekend plans, and smiled through every answer. Miles stayed quiet at first, nodding when needed, keeping a straight face. Erica kept glancing at him, unsure if he knew something. Her smile grew tighter. Her voice lost its ease. The food was simple, but good. Nobody really noticed it. All eyes were watching each other instead of the plates. Her husband, still confident, talked more than anyone else. He acted like this was a normal night. Erica tried to follow his lead, but her hands kept reaching for her glass. She sipped her wine too quickly. She kept the conversation going, asking questions that seemed innocent, but had sharp edges. Erica began to fumble over her words. Miles watched her closely but said very little. The room was quiet between laughs, the kind of quiet that wasn't peaceful, just heavy. Every smile felt fake. Every sentence had something hiding underneath. She kept her face calm and her voice soft. No one shouted, no one cried, but everyone could feel that something was coming. Dinner had just begun, but the truth was already sitting at the table. It was only a matter of time before it spoke. Everyone was seated around the table. The food was warm, the wine was poured, and soft music played in the background. She brought out the first course and placed the plates gently in front of each person. Her smile never faded, but inside she was watching every move, every glance. She started talking about honesty. "You know," she said, "after 10 years of marriage, I've learned that honesty is the only thing that really matters, even when it hurts." Her voice was calm, smooth, almost friendly. No one replied at first. Her husband nodded like he agreed. Erica smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. She continued, "Transparency is important too, sharing everything. No secrets, no lies." She looked right at Erica when she said it. Erica looked away. Then she told a small story about her husband taking a weekend trip to Denver. She said it casually, like it didn't mean much. But the date she mentioned was a weekend Erica had claimed to be at a family event. The timeline didn't match. Erica's fork paused in the air. Her husband didn't seem to notice. He kept eating and smiling like everything was fine. Erica started fidgeting, her eyes darting between them. She sipped her wine, then picked up her napkin and set it down again. She added another detail about a hotel reservation, a small one. Not enough to make a scene, but enough to create confusion. Erica's hand shook slightly as she reached for her glass again. Miles stayed quiet. He was playing his part well. He looked down at his plate, barely touching his food. His silence made Erica more nervous. She glanced at him more than once, as if trying to figure out what he knew. Then she lifted her glass. "Let's have a toast," she said brightly, "to open secrets." Her husband laughed, thinking it was a joke. Erica raised her glass, but her fingers were stiff. Miles joined in slowly, his face still blank. They clinked glasses. The sound was small but sharp. No one said anything after the toast. The silence stretched longer than before. Her husband didn't realize anything yet. He still thought he was in control, but Erica knew something was off. She could feel the ground shifting. The first course was finished, and so was the first lie. The real story was starting to show, one piece at a time, and no one could stop what was coming next. She sat calmly, watching them all. Her voice stayed gentle, but her questions started to change. They were no longer friendly. Each one had a hidden meaning. She asked where her husband had been on certain weekends. She smiled as she spoke, but her eyes stayed cold. He gave quick answers, not thinking too much. Erica looked nervous. She picked at her food and avoided eye contact. The room grew quiet between each question. Then Miles looked up. His voice was calm, but his words cut deep. "Erica," he asked, "were you in Palm Springs with me last March, or with someone else?" Everyone froze. Erica dropped her fork. Her face went pale. She opened her mouth but said nothing. Her hands trembled in her lap. Her husband's smile vanished. He looked at Erica, then at Miles, then at his wife. The truth was sinking in. He turned to his wife, his face full of anger. "What is this?" he snapped. "Why are you doing this? Are you trying to ruin everything?" She didn't raise her voice. She didn't cry. She looked him in the eye and said clearly, "I invited her husband to dinner because you brought her into my life without asking me." No one spoke. Erica stood up quickly, knocking her chair back. She looked at Miles, who said nothing more. Her husband stood too, pacing, trying to understand what had just happened. The room, once warm and quiet, now felt cold and sharp. She stayed seated, calm, in control. The truth was no longer hidden. Everyone had heard it. The lies, the affair, the sneaking around. It was all out in the open. Her husband didn't speak again. He just stared, shocked and angry. Erica grabbed her bag and rushed toward the door. Miles stood up and followed, but not for her. He simply walked out, tired and quiet. She watched them go, then stood up slowly. The truth had been served, and everyone had tasted it. Bitterness filled the room, but she felt no regret. This was the moment she had waited for, and now nothing would ever be the same again. The moment the truth came out, the room exploded with emotion. Erica couldn't take it. Her face turned red with shame and panic. She grabbed her purse, pushed her chair back, and ran toward the door without saying a word. Her heels clicked loudly across the floor. She didn't look at anyone. She just wanted to escape. Miles didn't stop her. He gave her one cold look and walked out behind her, quiet and calm, without saying goodbye. Her husband stood frozen. His mouth opened like he wanted to speak, but no words came out. Then, all at once, he started shouting. He blamed her. He said she had gone too far, that she had set them up, that she was trying to destroy everything they had built. But his voice didn't scare her. She didn't shout back. She didn't even raise her voice. She just stood there, still and steady, watching him fall apart. He yelled again, saying she had embarrassed him, that she had broken their family, but every word made him sound smaller. His face was red, his hands shaking, but she said nothing. Then something in him broke. He stopped yelling. His shoulders dropped. His face changed. He looked around the room like he didn't recognize it anymore, like he didn't recognize her. He sat down, quiet now, his eyes wide, lost in his own mess. She turned and walked to the bedroom. Her steps were slow, not rushed. She pulled a suitcase from the closet and laid it on the bed. The sound of the zipper opening felt louder than the shouting had. She began packing calmly. Clothes, shoes, her phone charger, only the things she needed. She didn't look back. In the other room, her husband stayed silent. No more yelling, no more questions, just the heavy sound of his breathing. The truth had crushed him. She didn't feel sorry for him. He had made his choices. He had brought Erica into their life without a second thought. Now he was facing the result of his lies. She zipped up the suitcase, picked it up, and walked toward the door. She didn't cry. She didn't speak. There was nothing left to say. The house was quiet now, just broken glass, spilled wine, and one man sitting in silence. She opened the door and walked out. She had already let go. She walked out of the house and didn't look back. The night air was cool, and the street was quiet. In her hand, she held the suitcase. In her heart, she held no regret. She had done what needed to be done. She didn't cry. There were no tears left. She had cried long before this night, alone, in silence, while her husband made her feel like she was the one who was wrong. He had lied, cheated, and laughed in her face. He had brought another woman into their life and acted like it was normal. She used to ask herself what she did wrong. Why wasn't she enough? But now she saw the truth. The problem was never her. It was his selfishness, his pride, his lies. She was tired of pretending, tired of waiting for him to change. She didn't forgive him. She didn't forget what he had done. Some things leave a scar, even if they stop bleeding. He would have lived 2 lives forever if she hadn't stopped him. He had no idea that dinner would turn into a disaster. He thought she was weak, that she would stay quiet, look away, and keep playing her part. But he was wrong. She had planned every word, every moment, and every guest at that table. Now he sat in that broken house, surrounded by silence, spilled wine, and the mess he created. She hoped he would remember this night for the rest of his life, not because she left, but because she left with her head held high. She didn't leave as a broken wife. She didn't leave as someone who lost. She walked away as a woman who took control, who gave the truth a seat at the table, and who finally chose herself. The pain was real, but so was her strength. And in the end, she wasn't the one left behind. He was. Do you think she did the right thing by exposing her husband and walking away? Or should she have given him another chance to make things right? Let me know what you think in the comments. I'd really love to hear your opinion. And if you want more stories like this, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update.